Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fan Appreciation Month here on Reaction and Review. Now, before I get into this, I guess I should mention, because I am going to assume I sound a little bit odd. It's because right now I'm in the middle of fighting a, head cold, and by all rights, I really should be in bed. But I then looked at the schedule, and I saw the next movie I had lined up. And it's a movie a lot of you guys have wanted me to cover. It's a movie I myself have really wanted to watch. So I decided I was going to crawl my carcass out of bed and film this because, well, I really want to watch this. Tonight's movie is a Japanese gore film from 2009. That movie is RoboGeisha. Now, I do know that RoboGeisha is from the same people who worked on Tokyo Gore Police, and I absolutely adored that movie. And before I started filming, I read the first paragraph on the back here. Allow me to read this to you. The twisted geniuses behind the Machine Girl in Tokyo Gore Police. By the way, for those who don't know, I still haven't watched Machine Girl yet. I will at some point, though. Anyway, the twisted geniuses behind the Machine Girl and Tokyo Gore Police present a tale of sibling rivalry, chainsaw faces, machine gun boobs, and butt blades. The one part about that kind of caught my eye was butt blades, because I'm kind of curious. I don't know why I'm curious about this, but upon reading that, I was wondering, so does that mean that the blades are going to come out of the butt cheeks, or are we going to see like a sword blade come sliding out of somebody's anus? And considering that the same people who worked on this worked on Tokyo Gore Police, either one of those options is possible. So, not only am I curious about that, I'm also wondering if this thing is going to live up to the sheer awesomeness that was Tokyo Gore Police. And the only way for me to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out RoboGeisha. Guys, I would really love to comment on exactly what I'm seeing here, but the only thing I can say is this is really fucking weird. Mind you, I was totally prepared for weird, but not quite this weird. And now our goblins are shitting throwing stars. No, I'm not kidding. Like I said, this is really fucking weird. So, they once more had to go to the whole acidic breast, milk thing, huh? I do remember that being in Tokyo, Gore Police. I really guess that it's not quite as shocking here, because I have already seen them do this once, and frankly, it looked better in friggin' Gore Police. I'm just gonna be totally straight up with you guys. This time around, it looked kind of shitty. Guys, this movie really is not nearly as good as I thought it was going to be. I really did kind of expect this to be another absolutely cheesy, awesome, fucked up film. Really, it's, at least so far, it's a little bit dull. I'm really kind of hoping that it picks up, but so far it really is a little bit of a letdown. Guys, I believe I figured out what is wrong with this movie. Is that this writing is incredibly shit. And I'm not talking about, the writing being bad in a funny way. It's just plain bad. There honestly, guys, is a difference between being, being stupid and funny and being just stupid. And this thing is just straight up stupid. Wow. So her mechanical legs can now turn into essentially tank, treads. That's actually sort of cool. In fact, shit, that actually is probably the only cool, thing I've seen in about the last hour or so. That's saying a lot. Okay, I'm actually seeing this correctly, right? I'm looking at an office building that's bleeding, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm seeing here. That office building is bleeding. You would almost think that would be sort of cool, except honestly, the fucking like blood effect is ridiculously weak. And now we have a second building that's bleeding. Oh, fun! And still, the blood effect really sucks. All right, guys. You guys happen to remember when I mentioned on the back of the DVD case they were talking about butt blades, and I didn't know if the blade was going to come out of the butt cheeks or if it was going to come out of the anus. Yeah, blade comes out of the anus. We got 3 characters with it too. It's kind of cool. I just sort of wish that I just sort of wish that the butt blade or the ass sword, as it's called in the subtitles, were utilized in a better movie. But well, at least it still looks sort of cool. Well, guys, that was RoboGeisha. Thank Christ that's done. Let me shut that off. Okay. That really was a massive letdown, but I guess I should try to explain why. I'm going to start with writing. I'm going to start with the story first. The actual story in this thing is actually okay. I had no problem with the story. The story was passable. Allow me to attempt to explain it. It is about these 2 sisters. One of them is a geisha. One of them hopes to become a geisha when she gets a little older, and they are asked to go and visit the office of this steel, corporation, who want to add both of them into their secret army of assassins who all pose as geishas. And all of that sounds really cool, and the both of them wind up getting various. They both wind up getting various, like bionic, upgrades, sort of. And all of that sounds really cool. The story begins to derail though when our hero, who is the younger sister, winds up running into. She's asked to go and kill this one target. She finds out that this target is part of a group of people who have since lost daughters, sisters, nieces. You find out that essentially every other member of this secret organization of friggin' like assassin geishas are their nieces, their sisters, their granddaughters, what have you, and they are trying to get them back because they totally believe them to be kidnapped and brainwashed. And this really does screw with the mood in a huge way, because guys, we have this whole movie where it's all just random goofiness. It is goofy, stupid, gory fun, and then we meet up with this group of brothers and grandmothers, what have you, and the mood just dies. It really does just absolutely bring the entire film to a fucking stop. And that would be totally fine if it was maybe for a single scene, and then they gave friggin' Yoshi all the information which she needed in order to go and stop her bosses from fucking over the whole world. But no, these people insist on sticking around in the movie, and every time that all of them are on screen, the mood almost seems to totally die, except for 3 characters who actually happen to remember that the movie which they are in is supposed to be a goddamn comedy, and are willing to actually, wacky it up a little bit. Unfortunately, though, it also then leads to an absolute lapse, in logic, where if they were there to save, all of these kidnapped, and friggin' like brainwashed girls, I really don't think that your best strategy is running into the building, guns fucking blazing, and killing every single one of them who gets in your way. That is probably the last strategy you want to employ, but they friggin' do anyway. And of course, it's supposed to be funny and wacky. It just comes up incredibly stupid. In fact, that honestly is kind of the big issue here, is that while everything is just trying to be wacky and stupid and funny, it winds up just being stupid and nothing else. I swear to God, guys, the writing here is probably the biggest sin. We have fucking jokes which go nowhere. We have dialogue which is absolutely flat. We also have dialogue which is made up of the actors looking directly at the camera, announcing either what just happened in the previous shot or what just happened to them. If somebody is shot in the head, they will look right at the camera, eyes as wide as possible, and go, "Oh my God, I've just been shot," and then collapse over and die. And if that is supposed to be funny, it fucking isn't. And mind you, that is totally what I'm getting out of the subtitles from this movie. And that, guys, is every time somebody is either slashed with a sword or they're shot, they have to look directly at the camera and announce that it happened, and it doesn't work. It just basically takes like a flimsy film and just crumbles it even further. Now, even though I can talk about the writing, and I could probably talk about the writing all fucking day and just tell you guys every single issue with it, the acting is okay. The acting is actually kind of passable. I mean, mind you, now the acting isn't great, but I certainly have seen far, far worse acting in Japanese films. So really, at least it's passable. At least it's, especially considering how terrible this fucking, script is. The very fact that these actors were able to pull out something even halfway good is nothing shy of a miracle. And they were able to do that, so I am going to have to grant them points there. Special effects. I'd like to say right now that I don't know who from Tokyo Gore Police worked on this thing, but it obviously was not whoever the hell worked on the awesome writing in that movie. It certainly wasn't anyone who worked on the fantastic effects in that movie, because the special effects here are almost all CG, and they are all CG, which is absolutely horrible. Even by 2009 standards, guys, the fucking CG in this thing is just an absolute joke. It's all horrible. It's all terrible, low-budget crap. And again, if it is supposed to look funny in a bad, cheesy way, it really isn't. It just looks like shit. There are very few practical effects, which usually to me is the sign of something good. Example, the reason why a lot of the effects worked in Tokyo, Gore Police, because a lot of it was, makeup effects. A lot of it was, like prosthetics. There was very little CG in Tokyo Gore Police as far as my memories it goes. And, excuse me. So, again, I don't know who the hell from Gore Police worked on this, but it obviously was not the people who gave us the writing or the, special effects. Effects in this thing are also absolutely terrible, and that's pretty bad. Makeup though is at least halfway decent. Like, anytime that they have to do like makeup effects, at least, all of that looks at least halfway decent. It's just everything else looks terrible because everything else is CG, including tons and tons of the blood, instead of it just being, where instead of it being just like a blood pack, it's essentially just CG blood spraying up, including office buildings which bleed. And when I say that they bleed, it basically is almost like a red, it basically is almost like a red fucking like starburst just kind of sitting there, like gushing outwards. Looks horrible. It looks absolutely shitty, and I'm not talking shitty in a funny way. Before anyone tells me that it was fucking supposed to be bad, well, good job. It totally was. It just wasn't entertaining. Music. Let's talk about the music. Almost every piece of music in this movie is a sound-alike of a far better song, and these aren't even good sound-alikes. Like, I could totally pick up sound-alikes for, let's see, I heard one for the RoboCop theme, I heard one for the Rocky theme, I heard one for the Godzilla theme, and the one that they come back to a lot is a sound-alike for Live and Let Die. Mind you, all four of those songs I just mentioned, I'm talking about, like Rocky theme and Live and Let Die and Godzilla theme and RoboCop. Those are all fantastic songs. These sound-alikes are terrible. I didn't hear a single piece of 100% original music in this entire movie. Almost everything was a sound-alike, and those right there were the four big ones. I could probably have picked out even more, but I don't want to. The music here is terrible. The music here is just horribly cheap, sounding. And honestly, guys, if this freaking music were honestly even, performed well, it would probably have still sucked because everything here, at least if we were to break it all down into just a sheer like composition level, it's bad. This right here is music from people who essentially tried for the very first time to do friggin' sound-alikes, and they didn't do a good job of it. Now, I do have a little bit of trivia. Now, RoboGeisha came out in 2009. That same year, another Japanese gore comedy came out, and that was Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl, which also had people who worked on Tokyo Gore Police working on that. And I'm almost convinced that the friggin', writers, the director, and everybody who worked on those fantastic effects skipped this and went and worked on Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl, because that is such a better movie from top to bottom. This thing here is an absolute letdown, and am I able to recommend it to anybody? No. About the only way I could possibly recommend this is if you are like horrifically curious about whether or not this thing is any good. That seriously is about as close as I can get to recommending this. Is if somehow your life is not going to be complete until you've given this thing a watch, then by all means go right ahead and watch it. If you seriously feel that your life will be empty until you've watched this, otherwise avoid it. This thing is an absolute pile of shit. And perhaps maybe it's such a huge letdown because after watching Tokyo Gore Police and after watching Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl, I was kind of expecting this to be more of that. I was kind of expecting nice, high-end, cheesy, gory, stupid fun. Instead, I get low-rent, cheap-ass, stupid bullshit. And it was terrible. Now, because this is Fan Appreciation Month, RoboGeisha came off the Amazon wishlist. The person who sent it in is a regular contributor to this series, and his YouTube channel is youtube.com/user/Medio-Surreal. And Medio, dude, thank you. I've been curious about this movie for a long, long time. A lot of people told me I should really check it out, and you helped make it happen. I seriously kind of wish that it was a better movie. However, I would not have known if this thing was going to be good or not until I watched it. I did, and it was just sadly a letdown. And please, guys, by all means, swing on over to his channel once more. That is youtube.com/user/Medio-Surreal. Go over there and check out everything he has. And if you happen to like what he has, sub him. Now, as for me, I'm still fighting this fucking cold. I'm going to go and lie down. I'm going to try to get some rest, and hopefully I'll feel better for the next movie I cover, which is another one which you guys have really been requesting, but it's one I really don't want to watch. But hey, I will cover that next time. So, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.